So guys, I'm excited about today's video because this is a question that I have been getting for a long time. I'll get families that will reach out to us and they'll say, hey, we're getting ready to start full-time living. I would love your advice on some of the key differences between a motorhome and a fifth wheel. So today I have our great friends Remmington and Haley Holt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you guys through their RV and I'm gonna take you through our motorhome, and I'm gonna highlight some of the key differences between a fifth wheel and a Class A motorhome so that you guys can make the right decision and what is right for your family. All right, so like I said, we're gonna start off with the Holt's fifth wheel, and I've got Remmington, my good buddy, right back here. So he's gonna take us through his fifth wheel, and I'm gonna show you guys some of the differences between them and why fifth wheels are great for families. I think one of the great questions people have is storage. If you've watched our tour video at all, I think you've already seen this, and please don't judge, it's a mess. But we've got storage here. We've got storage there, lots of storage. I got more storage compartments. This is one great big long storage compartment. I even got storage there. Now, in a fifth wheel, you've got a few outside storage bins. You've got one here, and then you got one there. There is nothing else, correct?
Nothing else outside.
Right. What's the length of this?
This is like 41 foot.
Okay. And these all vary in different sizes. Like he said, this was a 41 foot. So the larger you get, the bigger storage you're going to have underneath. Now, the other thing is that all fifth wheels are also going to have your propane tanks here. And this is what I actually miss about the fifth wheel, these portable tanks. Because if I want to get our propane tanks filled up in the Class A, I have to take the Class A to the propane place and have it filled up. I can't just pop them out and then go and get them filled up like you can in a fifth wheel. So with the Class A, your propane tank is stationary. It's not moving, it's not coming out. And so, like I said, you've got to take the whole rig to a place like a Pilot's or a Flying J. A lot of those travel stops like that, you can get your propane tank filled up. And that's usually when we do it, is when we stop for fuel. While we're traveling, I'll get this filled up so I don't have to worry about it once we get to a campsite, because these are big. I think ours is 37 or 39 gallons. So it'll last a long time versus the two smaller. What was your?
Mine are 30 pounds.
30 pounds. So is that like 7 gallons, 8 gallons a piece?
Probably, because I think a 20 is 5 gallons.
Right. So he has roughly, 14 gallons on his propane tank versus mine, which I said is 37 or 39 gallons. So these will last a long time. Again, if something happens and say you forget to fill it up and you get set up, well, you've got to tear everything back down and then go back and get your propane tank filled. This is where a lot of people who are full-timing will have, like I did, I had my generator in here, which you can, have an external type generator, like they have a Honda 2000. So you can put that in here, or you can have an onboard generator, which is a feature for a lot of fifth wheels.
Yeah, and it's set up for it. We could have bought it. I think it was $5,000 or something.
So you can get one, and then it would have the features very similar to what our motorhome is, to where it's push button on the inside so that you don't have to come out and, hook it up and do all that. This is something that's going to come standard on, I would say, almost all Class A's, is an onboard generator, and they're always going to be in the front. Well, depending if you have a diesel or a gas, but on a diesel, since your diesel engine is in the rear, that's why they're called diesel pushers, your generator is going to be up in the front. Another really cool feature that this fifth wheel has that we don't have in the motorhome, I may be wrong on this, but I haven't seen a motorhome with an outside kitchen. If I'm wrong on that, let me know in the comments below. But I've seen a lot of them in fifth wheels, and it's a great little feature for families or anybody who likes to spend a lot of time cooking outside. Remington is a great cook, and he cooks. Hey. Now, I have even seen some full-time families who have actually taken out all of the kitchen stuff and actually used it for more storage. So that's an option too. The other thing is that a fifth wheel, you can have more slides than what a Class A can have. You guys have 5?
4.
4. I think 5 is the max, I believe, as far as what a fifth wheel can have. Most Class A's that I've ever seen, I think 4 has been the max that I've ever seen. So you're going to get more interior floor space with a fifth wheel versus a Class A. That is one thing about fifth wheels, is floor plans, because there is a multitude of them. You know, you can have bunkhouses in the front, you can have the master in the rear, you can have different kitchen layouts. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go inside. So anytime you come in a fifth wheel, or even some travel trailers, one of the very first things that you're going to notice when you walk in is ceiling height. Do you know what your ceiling height is?
I don't. I know we're 13.5.
My guess is what?
8,
8.5
9 foot. Yeah.
So Remmington, you're what, 6'3"? Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of headspace in here for big guys, as opposed to you've been in our Class A, and I'm going to show you guys right now. When Remington's in our Class A, he's only got probably 3 or 4 inches of headroom.
It'll comb my hair.
Yeah, it'll comb his hair. But yeah, so fifth wheels have amazing ceiling height, which gives it more of an open feeling, more of a house feeling, which a lot of people like. The other thing about fifth wheels, typically what you have is in the center of the fifth wheel, you've got your living area. Again, some floor plans are a little bit different, but I think for us, I really want to talk about how the family setup is you've got your kitchen in like the middle of the area, and then you have, you know, your living room on the other side. Now there's also the mid bunks that a lot of people are loving right now, and that would be where your kitchen and your living room is all towards the rear of the fifth wheel, and then your mid bunk is going to be right near your entry door, and then it's really close to your master, because your master is still going to be up in that front nose section. Okay, so now let's talk about the rooms. The reason why a fifth wheel is so great for families, you're going to be able to find a lot of options for having a bunkhouse. Now, they have just one slide in their bunk, but they also have a half bath.
Original, it had that couch that was the sleeper, and we transitioned to a desk for Kirsten. And then it had a bunk here, and we've made the storage, so our next deal is to get a rod so it doesn't look so bad. But then you have the bunk here for Sailor. She's our 2-year-old, and this is, I would call it a queen almost. This thing is huge.
It's deep. It is deep.
So our 8-year-old enjoys that. The benefit to this over the mid bunks that we saw is the ceiling height. The mid bunks were pretty tight up top, and we thought she could sit up and read for quite a while in this bunk versus the mid bunk.
So that you have lots of storage in these bunkhouses. I know our bunkhouse in the fifth wheel, we had 2 opposing slides, and in the middle you had this great big area where it was just all storage. So inside storage is a big plus for RVing families in a fifth wheel. You know, you do a lot of things in here. A lot of people are homeschooling, and so you have your homeschool supplies in here, all your clothes and everything is in here. So it really helps for families to have these bunkhouses in these fifth wheels, and they just make a great space. So on most Class A's, you're going to have a setup almost identical to this, whereas you have the back bedroom is your master. Now again, because we are a family and because we wanted a Class A, we converted this into the kids' room, and it has worked great for us. If you're a family and you're wanting to buy a Class A, you are going to have to do some sort of a conversion like this, especially if you're like us and you want to buy used, because ours is a 2004. There wasn't really any full-time families back in those days. So the RV industry was catering to, especially Class A's, they were catering to the retirees. But now there are more and more full-time families that have gotten into the RV living. And so there are some Class A's available out there now that have some bunk beds inside of the Class A. Now they're typically not going to be back here in the back bedroom. This is still always going to be the master bedroom. But what I have seen in Class A's is that on one slide, they will have just 2 bunk beds for 2 kids. It's kind of like usually out into the hallway area. Now, I have also seen some Class A's that have a bed that will come down over the front captain chairs in the very front. So with this being the master, this is also really the only closet space that we have inside the whole Class A, because this is really the only true bedroom. So our closet space is much smaller in here than what it was in the fifth wheel. So when it comes to inside storage, the winner for that is clearly the fifth wheel. The fifth wheels just have an abundance of more inside storage because they also have more inside space. Now, one thing you're going to find in a fifth wheel that you do not get in a Class A is inside steps. Because of the front nose of the fifth wheel, you're always going to have a few steps up into it because underneath here is where your storage is that I was talking about, the outside basement. So you got to take that in consideration with little kids. I know some people I've seen will try to put up a gate, you know, like a baby gate here if they don't want their kids coming up and down the steps all the time. Again, you're going to find for most families, you're going to have a master bath and then the guest bath for the bunkhouse. Also, on most Class A's, you are going to find that there is only one bathroom. Again, because most Class A's were just designed for a couple, you're only going to find one bathroom in the majority of them. And then your master bedroom, that's one thing Lane and I actually miss a lot, is having that master bedroom just for the privacy sake of it. That's one great thing about a fifth wheel is you've got your master all the way up in the front and your bunkhouse is going to be all the way in the rear. And so there's a lot of separation between there.
And that's the other thing about the mid bunk is they're right here on you.
Absolutely. Because privacy is a big issue. I think anytime you go small, the parents are always thinking about how they're going to maintain that privacy because they have that in the house. But when they go to an RV, they're like, I'm not sure about the privacy level of it because, I mean, you got to maintain some privacy. Okay, so we showed you guys some of the key features to a fifth wheel on the inside, but what Remington and I were just talking about some of the downsides to owning a fifth wheel, and I'm going to let him say it in his own words. Let's just say, what was the pros in making you make the decision to a fifth wheel?
So our biggest pro was height and affordability. For us, we knew we wanted to go new. I think we paid like $60,000 for this, brand new. So we have this huge size, the height that we wanted, so a motorhome was really out of the question. I'm in the service business. I already have a big truck. So it wasn't like we were having to go buy all this stuff to make this work.
And that's a great point. He already had a truck because of his business. So he was making do with what he already had instead of trying to sell everything and start from scratch.
Yeah.
He's already got a 1-ton. So why not just use it and get a fifth wheel?
So the first negative that was a pro for us until this weekend was the island. We love the island for preparing food. It's a great countertop space. It's nice looking. It makes you feel at home. And then we had 20 people in your motorhome and then had 20 people in my fifth wheel. And it was such different. I mean, we were all able to enjoy each other's company in your space. And then in my space, I was stuck sitting on the stairs, and people were having to like function around this big island, and the feng shui was up.
Yeah, you guys have two opposing slides here. This is a slide, and then the living room's a slide. When you're traveling, though, these all come in up to the island. Are you guys able to come in here at all?
No, you at least have to pull one slide out a little bit. So we're able to get to the master bedroom and bath, and then through the other door we can get to that half bath and to the bunkhouse, but that's it. So you have to pull a slide out to get to the fridge.
Okay. Whereas opposed to this, you're always going to have a path down the middle to the kitchen, to the restroom, and to the very back bedroom. Okay, so one thing about fifth wheels is they don't move around themselves like a Class A. In order to move a fifth wheel around, well, you've got to have a great big pickup. I'm a firm believer in having too much truck.
Me too.
I've seen a lot of people that have had not enough truck in pulling a great big fifth wheel, and to me it's unsafe. But anyway,
those are the guys you see in the ditch.
You've got a fifth wheel, but then you also have to have a tow vehicle. As opposed to our Class A, if you wanted to, that can be the only vehicle you have. But I do know people who just have a Class A, and maybe they just have a motorcycle or something that they attach to the back, or a scooter. But you're going to have something if you have a fifth wheel. And trucks are not cheap. You know, a lot of people talk about the expenses of a Class A, and that's something Remington and I were just talking about, was the expense of a diesel engine in a Class A and the maintenance of that. But honestly, it's not much difference. So as an example, I had my engine oil change, my transmission fluid flushed, all the filters replaced, and it cost me about $750. Now, Remington, you had what done?
I had the fuel filters, oil, air filter, and this was at the dealer. It was like $400. It was expensive. I was floored.
Yeah. Well, and mine was at the cat dealer too. So anytime you take it to those people who specialize in that vehicle, you're going to pay over $100 an hour for labor.
I think one thing to mention too, y'all parked a lot easier today than I did.
Yeah.
So in the Jeep, we're right in there, and like we're looking in the back 40 trying to tuck this thing in.
So we're all in Texas right now, boondocking. We went into Waco earlier. We went to church together this morning. Remington parked on the street whenever we stopped to get coffee, and I just whipped in the parking lot and found a little spot. That was one of the issues that Lane and I had with our previous setup with the truck and fifth wheel, was we really kind of got tired of driving the great big monster truck around because they're so long, they're so wide, finding parking is taxing. It's taxing at times.
I mean, this is my service truck, so I'm in it every day. It's not like we were bankers or whatever and then decided to do this lifestyle.
Right.
I'm used to this stuff, and it's still, it's still a problem, and I've grown up in it, so it's just difficult. It's big. It's big.
Yeah. And so, just like the Class A, you're going to have maintenance on your truck, engine, tires, all the things. Same thing as maintenance on the fifth wheel. In fact, you guys are going to be taking yours in to have warranty work done
next week.
Before too long. So don't think one is less maintenance than the other. It may vary in costs.
And I think overall, y'all did it cheaper than we did. So we've been real open about what we paid. I think we paid $59 for that and $59 for the truck. They were the same price, like within $1,000. So $120,000. I mean, you can get a pretty nice motorhome.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing I do want to say about the differences in cost, because these are cheaper. A fifth wheel or travel trailer is going to be way cheaper. Let's say versus brand new. Brand new versus brand new. These are going to be cheaper. But if you also get a brand new truck, by the time you add the two, a lot of motorhomes that you can buy today, depending on gas versus diesel, but you can spend easily $150,000 on a very nice brand new motorhome, and some of them even go way higher than that, $200,000, $300,000. One other thing I do want to mention, whenever I get that question asked a lot, should we buy a fifth wheel or should we buy a Class A? I always tell people this thing right here. Are you stationary or are you traveling a lot? Because for a full-time family who's traveling a lot, you're going to spend a whole lot more time with the teardown and the packing up in a fifth wheel, and you're going to be spending a whole lot more time in a truck. You're going to be stopping more for potty breaks, for eating. If you're stationary though, I think fifth wheels are the best setup. Oh, yeah. Absolutely the best setup, because it's more like a home. And I'll have Lane tell you her opinion on a few things whenever I get over there to the Class A, but I want you to hear her input on this. But for us, traveling a lot every week, the Class A is the way to go for us. It allows us the freedom to get to places more quickly, to set up the maneuverability, also to have the Jeep to be able to go explore once we reach a place.
And y'all's is comfortable. Like we go over there, I sit in your driver's seat. It's comfortable.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go over to the Class A.
Hi.
It's like a school bus.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
You're on camera.
Hi.
So one of the great things that I love about owning a Class A is that whenever we get somewhere to get set up, I never have to go outside. If it's raining and we pull up somewhere, I never have to go outside. Poor Remington would get soaked, wouldn't he? But with this, I pull up, I push some buttons, I get us level, I put the slides out, all from right here at my captain's chair where I drive. Also the onboard generator, all done from inside. That's one of the great things I love about the Class A, is the simplicity behind it. I brought you up earlier and I wanted your input, because this is something you've said a lot, is that would you have gone to a Class A when we first started out RV living?
No, me and Haley were just talking about this, because going from a home, like 2,000 square foot home or whatever, to this would have been terrible.
Why?
For us, because we had never lived in a tiny space. I thought I had to have my own room. I thought we had to have 2 bathrooms, had to have a washer and dryer, all those things. And if we would have done this and Michael talked me into it, then I would have been mad at everything all the time. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might not make sense, but since we both realized through the fifth wheel experience, hey, we don't need these things. Hey, we'd rather have a smaller rig to haul around so we can get to the places we want. Then together we love it. Together it works for us. But we had to experience that first to realize we actually didn't need all the things that we thought we needed.
Right.
But you can't know that until you experience it.
We had to experience the experiences.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and so now that we've made the transition to the Class A, do you miss anything about the fifth wheel? Are you glad you made the transition? Any regrets at all?
Zero regrets.
What do you miss about the fifth wheel?
I felt really cool in it. Felt like I like being in that jacked up truck. Like, yeah, we're a young, cool family, and now I'm like, hey, we're not 80. Just, we're in here. I don't miss anything. I don't miss anything about the fifth wheel, honestly.
Not even the bunkhouse? The kids' bunkhouse?
You just adapt.
Do you miss the inside storage at all?
I miss one thing.
Hold on, let Grady say what he misses.
The cloud.
The cloud. Do you guys remember the cloud? I miss the cloud too. We do miss the cloud. That's a good one. So our bed stinks.
I miss something.
What'd you say? Compared to what we
Our
have.
bed does. So this is Lane and I's bed. This is where we sleep every single night. So every single night we have to pull this out and make it into a bed.
Which that's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal at all. Yes.
I miss our bunk beds.
Do you? Do you like your bed now though?
Yeah, but I wish we all had a bunk bed.
You
Yeah.
wish each of the boys had
So we
one.
had one to play with more.
Yeah, I mean that would be ideal. Like if I was a bajillionaire, it'd be ideal for each of the kids to have their own bed.
Yeah.
But you really just adapt to whatever you have. You just adapt to it. I don't know. I don't miss anything because this is what we have, so we're just living it, loving it.
So yeah, you just adapt, like Lane said. If we hadn't had that experience with the fifth wheel, I don't think we ever would have went to the Class A. So, you know, what should you do? I think you should do what's right for your family. Whether that's a Class A or a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, I think getting out and just having the experience will tell you what you should have or what you shouldn't have. This is one of the reasons why we're a firm believer in buying used whenever you're first starting out into the RV life, is because you don't know where it's going to take you to where you may be like us and be like, hey, we want to switch rigs. Well, if you buy new, you have a brand new truck, you have a brand new RV, those can be harder to sell versus a used vehicle. So again, you just have to get out and experience it for yourself, see what's right for you, and if you don't like it, you may change, and that's perfectly fine. I hope you guys have enjoyed this vlog. I hope that I've been able to hit on some of the key differences and hopefully been able to give you some good nuggets so you guys can decide in finding the right RV for your family. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day, and God bless.